Hello everyone, it's Siren back with another deck profile. Today I'm going to go over the Mikasa Ackerman Hizuru's Hope list I took to Webcam Wednesday. Mikasa Ackerman is a 5 hand size, 35 life character with the Survey Core trait, Air, and Death symbols, and then 2 enhances. Enhance, reveal 1 weapon card. This attack gets plus X damage. X equals the revealed card's block modifier. And then enhance, sacrifice foundation, draw 2 cards. So really powerful abilities. We can draw a whole bunch of cards, and we can give our attacks a bunch of damage, right? So long as we have those big block mods. Kind of like Rodon, but instead of manipulating speed, we have damage. But I wanted to start with the attack lineup. So the first big one in our deck is going to be Colossus SWAT. It's a 6 diff, 3 check, 5 low for 5, 3 high block with Powerful 4 and Titan. The big things that this is doing is it's Blitz. It lets us build 2 cards as fake foundations for the turn, and they get sacrificed at the end of the turn, right? So this kind of lets us start from a very small stage, since we're a 5-hander, and turn into a normal size stage, so we can just kind of start slinging our moves out really fast, right? That's the big goal with this. It doesn't really serve any other functions. Powerful is cool, it's our momentum out, but other than that, it was really useful. I will say it kind of sucked because in our first round we played against the Dark Deku, and this kept getting hit with either Filled Without as a seal, turned into a flash with Cheerleading, or with Deku. But yeah, it's a really great card. I think it's a minimum 4 of in her, and it's also the only non-weapon I'm going to run. Past that, we've got some board control, starting with Sweeping Daggers. 4 diff, 3 check, 5 mid for 4. Fury weapon, keywords, 1 mid block, and then it's got 2 blitzes. Blitz, remove an attack from your rival's discard pile. This attack gains all abilities, keywords, and keyword ratings on the printed card. And then Blitz, remove 1 card with Dagger or daggers in its name from your discard pile. Your rival loses 1 health. So we can burn them for 1, and then we can take their best attack. Because we are locked into weapons, we miss out on some really cool death cards like Battle or Release or something like that. So this kind of lets us copy their best thing. I will say it wasn't the best card in the deck because we just played into matches where we really didn't need it. Like Dark Deku, the best thing we could copy was a Fajin Flurry, which kind of sucked. So maybe this goes to a sideboard piece for those matchups where we really want it, but largely at a bigger like regional style event, I would probably mainboard 2 and then side a 3rd. From there, we've got some board control in 4 copies of Mikasa's Fatal Cleave. It's a 4 diff, 3 check, 4 low for 4, 1 mid block. Kick and weapon Blitz. If your rival has cycled this game, destroy a rival foundation and your rival discards a card. And then response, after this attack deals damage, your rival destroy 1 rival foundation. I really like this card. I don't think it's a 4 of. I think I'll take it to a 2 or a 3 of, just because it was kind of bricky in seeing multiple, especially because it didn't let us push in with our game plan. But it was overall a pretty good card. Being able to say, hey, destroy 1 for me and take like 8 damage is really cool. But that's the issue, is we have to find a way to push the 8 damage, and we're going to want to block this. So maybe it's good in like the world where we have double Venom Fang Dagger in our hand or something like that. But overall, I think I'd cut it to a 3 of or a 2 of. Past that, we've got double Killing Intent, 5 diff, 3 check, stun 1 Fury weapon, 4 low for 5 with a 1 low block, Blitz, seal 1 rival foundation with difficulty 2 or less. Just more board control. We can stop a Keiko since we want to kind of kill on turn 2 typically, and we can stop their defensive pieces that got stun 1. It was kind of a last minute addition. I'll probably be cutting it just because it didn't really do as much as I wanted it to, especially with the other things in the deck and how good death weapons can be. So this will probably get cut, but overall it wasn't a terrible card. Moving on from there, we've got 4 copies of Deception Dagger. This is the big board control piece. 5 diff, 3 check, 2 mid for 5, stun 2 and weapon as keywords. Enhance, remove a card in your rival's discard pile. This attack gets plus X speed. X equals the removed card's block modifier. And then enhance in momentum, flip this weapon attack gains stun 2. Being able to stun 2 on turn 2 is really good. Being able to stun 2 on turn 2 and then give something plus 4 damage is even better. And being able to say, here's my 6 mid for 9, can you catch it, is incredibly good. I think this is a must play 4 of in her, under the death symbol, just because of how much resource, like, it gives you so much advantage compared to your opponent because you're able to say, hey, I'm going to tap out your board if you didn't build good. And if you did build good, well, there's half your foundations gone. On average, we're building a roughly 4. So if they only built 4, that's half the foundations gone, and then they're going to have to use the rest to either try and block, or they have to try and save it for the next turn, or for the next attack. And there's a reason for that. The big reason is the 3 copies of Venom Fang Dagger we're playing. This card is a 4 diff, 3 check, 3 low for 3 weapon, 2 low block. Response: after this attack deals damage, your next weapon attack gets plus X damage. X equals this attack's damage. This is probably the best attack in the deck, to be 100% honest, disregarding the block mod effects. This just says our big ones become even bigger, so we can go something like a Venom. So if we've gotten them to tap out for the Deception Dagger, and they can't block anymore, we can go Venom Fang for 7, Venom Fang for a whole bunch, and just kill them with these. I'm honestly tempted to push this to a 4 of, and I might just do it because this card is just so incredibly powerful in this deck. Now the answer as to how we're getting these big damage numbers is Lethal Rending. It's a 4 diff, 3 check, 5 mid for 3, 4 mid block, with the weapon keyword, and then Blitz, sacrifice up to 3 foundations. This attack gets plus 2 damage for each foundation sacrificed this way. I don't really care about the Blitz a whole lot. Like, it's good in some scenarios, but largely we just care because it's the 4 block mod we need for Mikasa. This says all of our moves get plus 4 damage, and running 4 is pretty much a non-negotiable. This and Deception Dagger are probably my you must play this card in this deck if you're on death, and this can be played on either symbol, so this is really just a you must play 4 of this card if you want this deck to do the thing. Overall, it's a really powerful piece just to generate a whole bunch of damage. And then the last big damage dealer we've got is Erwin's Final Charge, 5 diff, 3 check, 5 mid for 5, with a 2 mid block, breaker 1 charge and weapon. Blitz, sacrifice any number of foundations. This attack gets plus 1 damage for each foundation sacrificed this way. If you sacrifice 5 or more foundations this way, this attack gets plus 5 speed. This card was kind of interesting. It was pretty helpful in certain matchups because we were able to say, here's a 10 for 10, but on the opposite hand, we don't typically play past turn 2 very often, and if we do, it's not really our comfort zone. So being essentially forced to play 2 turn 2 makes this a really hard one unless we see the Colossus slot, right? And that lets us say we have the 5. So it might come out, I'm not really sure. I think I just need more testing with it, but overall it wasn't a terrible card, it just wasn't the best thing we were doing. Moving on from there, I want to talk about our resource manipulation. We burn a lot of our foundations through our effect, so we need to figure out a way to recoup those resources, and the big one is Enormous Axe. It's got static text: after this foundation is sacrificed, or after this foundation is destroyed, build the top card of your deck face down. And then Enhanced Commit, this attack gets plus X damage, X equals the number of face down foundations in your stage, maximum of 4. So it's a really powerful effect, right? We can commit it for plus, 2 to 4 damage typically, and say, alright, we're gonna pop this, and we'll get a bunch of we'll get a brand new resource. Really powerful, really helpful. I think it's a must play on death for her. It's one of the big reasons I think you play death, is this and a couple of other cards. One of those being Deception Dagger, again. But yeah, it's just really helpful. It's also a weapon, so if we don't have anything else, plus 1 damage isn't the worst thing in the world while we try and fish for some more. The other way we're generating a whole lot of resources is always cool. This card has 2 diff, 5 check, 2 low block. This card cannot leave the card pool during the combat phase. Enhance, add this card to your card pool, build the top 2 cards of your deck face down. And then Response, sacrifice, after an attack is played, its damage cannot be modified. It's got ranged and taunt, we don't really care about that. We're a 5-hander, so we have 35 life. We've got a lot of hit points we can kind of manipulate and deal with, so we can add these to our card pool relatively safely, especially on turn 2, just to generate a whole big stage. I've gone from 3 foundations to 5 or 3 foundations to 7, just off of always cools. Yeah, I think it's another you must play 4 just because it's so much more resources. It gives us so much advantage over our opponent that it's really important to play. Now we've got a couple of defensive pieces. One of the big ones is just Desperate Struggle. 3 diff, 5 check, 4 mid block. Response flip, after your rival attack gets a damage bonus, return it to its printed damage, and then response flip, after your rival's attack gets a speed bonus, return it to its printed speed. This is really helpful. We can actually go Mikasa, reveal a card, and then trigger this, which is really nice. But it's just a really good reset for us. Like, it just says, hey, I don't have to deal with your massive move that you've given a whole bunch of damage. You know, Devil Jin, no. Nick Reagan, no. Midori on the move, no, I don't have to deal with your passive move. Overall, just really, really good. I think it's a must of at least 2. I would like to play 4, but Norma's Axe is competing for that 3 diff spot. Next is 2 copies of Aaron's Sidestep. It's a 2/5, 3 high block, enhance flip. This attack gets -2 speed. If it's completely blocked, draw 1 card. This will probably get cut. It didn't really do a whole lot. Granted, I didn't see it a ton because it is at a 2 of. So maybe I just need to bump up the numbers, but overall, I don't think we really need it. I think we can do something better for minus speed if we want it. Because we have no issue drawing cards. There were multiple turns where I just had a full hand, and I was just gripping 5 attack cards. So having more draw is cool, but it's not really necessary, you know? Next up is 2 copies of Moment of Normalcy. It's a 2/5, 3 high block with unique keyword, enhance commit that return this attack to its printed speed or damage. Really good reset. It kind of says we just get to live longer. Like, I think there's no reason to not play this card at a 2 of, and we have a combo that lets us say, oh, we've already built one and we have one in hand, we can build a new one. So it's really, really helpful for us. Next up, another defensive piece is 2 Survey Core, Hope of Parity. It's a 2/6, 2 mid block, and then weapon keyword, so we can also reveal it with Mikasa. And then Survey Core response, Tenacious, after you block an attack, ready this card. This is largely in here for the 6 check and the slight defensive ability it gives us. The defense isn't the biggest part of this card, but the 6 check definitely is. And it being a weapon, really helpful for when we're wanting to play our lethal rending so we can kill somebody. Overall, I'm pleased with it, but if I can find something else that I like better, I'll probably swap it out. We're not blocking a whole lot, and if we move to the new iteration of the deck I want to take this into, it will become largely DR focused, so we don't really need this one. Next is, we've got some, like, benefiting from sacrificing foundations, right? That's one big thing we're doing, is we're sacrificing a lot of foundations. So the first big one is pushing the limits of 1/5, 3 high block with the response flip. After you sacrifice 1 or more foundations, draw a card. Again, like I said with Aaron's Sidestep, we aren't really struggling to draw cards typically. So if we're already sacrificing the foundation, we don't really need to draw 3 essentially. So this will probably get cut down at least to probably a 2 of at most, potentially to a 0, and just play something else entirely. But it wasn't terrible, it just didn't feel really that impactful in the games. Next is 4 copies of I'm With You. Another really good 1 diff. 1/5/2 low block. Response, remove. After this card enters your discard pile during the enhanced step, this attack gets +2 or -2 damage. We can sack it with Mikasa to give it 2 damage. We have a couple of discard outlets that we can use to get it out of our hand. Overall, it's just a really powerful card. I think it's probably the one you keep in here. If we had one that gave speed, I'd probably swap it out, but more damage is never a bad thing. Next is 2 copies of Greater Goal. This is the combo piece that kind of says we get to reuse our Moment of Normalcies. It's a 2/5, 3 mid block. Response, flip 1 foundation. After 1 or more foundations are destroyed, this attack gets +2 or -2 damage. I really enjoy this card. I think it's a really neat card and it opens up a lot of combo potential. I don't know how much I love it in her because she's not really struggling for that damage number. But given that we're moving into a DR package, this might be worth keeping in the deck. Overall, I'm pleased with it. I might take it to a 3 of just so I can see it more often because not seeing it sucked a lot. But yeah, pretty overall happy with that. And then we've got, to go with the Greater Goal, we've got 2 copies of Military Tactics. It's a 2/5, 1 mid block. Response, outwit. After your rival plays their 3rd or greater attack this turn, their 3rd attack or greater this turn, add that card to their hand. We can flip it with the Greater Goal, which is really helpful. We can build it off the top with a couple of different cards. Things like Enormous Axe. So I think this is a really good card. I think at a 2 of it's perfect. Like, we don't need to see it, but it's really helpful to see it, right? Overall, I'd say I'm pretty pleased with this card again. Like, I can't say I would want to cut it because it is a 1 mid block, so worst thing worst, it stays in our hand and it's a 1 mid block, right? Best thing best, we just say, hey, you fucked up your turn. Here you go. But yeah, I overall like it a lot. Now, past defensive options, we've got some, like, board control and frightening comp. Enhanced Sacrifice Foundation, this deck gets Stun 1. It's a 1/4, 3 high block as well. Not really pleased with this. When we were already saying Stun 2 and all of this other stuff, the Stun 1 didn't really matter, and it's more sacrificing, so this will definitely be getting cut. The 4 check sucked too. The 3 high block sucked. A lot of his cards just kind of sucked last night. So yeah, we'll definitely be cutting this one. But I mean, it's not terrible, but it's just not what this deck really needs. I am running a couple of 0 diffs, one of them being 3 syndicate target. This is largely just for the 6 check and the 0 low block. But I mean, it's a good card. I might cut it to 2 just because it's not really impactful, but it does give us a free sacrifice. So that might be something, but overall, it's okay. It's not the best. And then our last 0 diff in our last foundation is just Botan's coaching. Kind of the same thing I said with pushing the limits. This might go to a 2 of just because we don't need to draw cards that much. Like, we're already doing it so much on face, and some of our attacks draw us cards, and some of our other things draw us cards too. So like, we don't really need more card draw. So this might go to a 2 of just because, it's Botan's, but we're already doing a lot of card draw, so it might just go to a 2 of. I'm not sure yet. I'm still tweaking numbers, finding new things, that kind of stuff. So there's that, but yeah. Moving into our backups, we're just running 2 Willy Tiber. It's a unique ally 2/5, 2 low block, 4 stamina backup with static text. When sacrificing foundations to pay a cost, you may sacrifice this card as though it were a foundation. In response, commit after you sacrifice 1 or more foundations. If the number of foundations in your stage is equal to or less than your rival, build the top card of your deck committed. This was really helpful. I really enjoyed this card. Being able to commit it and then sacrifice it and then build in a new one. We had it in hand was really nice. Comboing with things like Enormous Axe, where we said, hey, I'll sacrifice this Enormous Axe, I'll build in one, I'll Willy Tiber, I'll build in another. Like, it just kind of, again, it was giving us more ramp in that sense. And if we weren't going all in, we could do this, commit, draw 2 cards or something, and say, hey, I'm gonna build in more cards. And I'll have more stuff for my next turn so I can kill you. Overall, I really enjoyed this card. I think this is a must play at a 2 of. I don't think more than 2 is good, but I think 2 of is perfect in her. And then the last 3 cards are in action. We've got 3 Showdown. It's a 3/4, 3 high block. Response card pool. After you're blocked with this card, commit 2 foundations in your rival staging area. And then response, commit 2 foundations after your rival plays an ability on an action card, discard it, and cancel its effects. My god, is this card so good. 3 of is definitely too much. It'll go to a 2 of after this test run with the deck. But seeing this card just says we get to live so much easier, and it says our offense is even more potent because we can do, like I was mentioning, stun. Like, they have a bad build or they had a good build and we went second. Okay, I'll showdown you and then I'll stun 2 you with Deception Dagger. Cool. Sucks to suck, I guess. But yeah, overall, super good card. I definitely think it's a must play in this character, especially on death. And I think a 2 of is perfectly fine. A 3 of is a little bit much, given we want to build out our hand a lot. But that was the deck. My final thoughts on it. I'm overall pretty pleased. I think this was a great test run and a great start to our new AOT Apocalypse series, where we're going to play every single character from the set across the next few months. But yeah, overall I'm pretty pleased. I'm kind of finding my footing still with the set, figuring out who I want to chase competitively, and she's definitely one that interests me. I think she's really good in her ability to just draw a gajillion cards and just being able to say, hey, I'm going to have a whole bunch of stuff I can do. And if we can find space for a throw, she becomes even more potent, because then they're taking half the damage no matter what. A couple things I think this deck still needs. I think it needs speed. Like, I need some form of being able to gain my own speed. I think I need some more resource ramp, and that's something where, like, Weapon Clash I'm thinking about putting into the deck. I think that's about it, really. Like, we don't really struggle in the damage department with her being on face. We don't struggle in drawing cards. We don't struggle in not dying a whole lot because we have 35 life. We just struggle in being able to sling enough moves, and I think that's the big thing. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it. I really enjoyed playing this deck. It was a whole lot of fun, and I'll catch y'all next time. Bye-bye.